Okay, start.
We shall do the invocation verse and then verses 1 and 2 of chapter 3. Do lead and follow. Yatas sarvani bhutani
Yatas sarvani bhutani
pratibhanti stitani cha
pratibhanti stitani cha
yatraivopashamam yanti
yatraivopashamam yanti
tasmai satyatmane namaha
tasmai satyatmane namaha
bandhasya tavat rupam tvam
bandhasya tavad rupam tvam
katyamanamidam shrunu
kacyamanamidam srunu
tatasvarupam mokshasya nyasyasi tvamasamshayam
Nyasasi tvamasamsayam
drashturdrishyasya sattahi
drashturdrusyasya sattahi
bandha ityabhidhiyate
bandha ityabhidhiyate
drashta drishyavashat baddha
drashta drusyavashat baddhaha
drashyabhave vimuchyate.
drashyabhave vimuchyate. Okay. This is what we did. This is, I don't know if you are searching for it. I don't think anybody is searching. But anyway, we are in the 3rd chapter, sloka 2. Page 38. So Vaasishta is defining what is bondage. So that was the sloka. Drashtur drusyasya tattahi bandha ityabhidhiyate. Abhidhiyate, it is explained or noted. What is bondage? This is idi, bandham. This is bondage. What is drashtuhu drusyasya sattahi? There is always seer and the seen. So we are always encountering I am and the world. So as long as I am living in this world, these are always two and one and the world. And the world includes you, everything else, along with the chara, means all movable, immovable things. So everything is including in the world, and I am the only subject. From your point, you are the only subject, everything is objects. So only you can perceive me as an object. You cannot perceive my consciousness. You cannot even perceive my mind. All you can see is my body. Or inside also, if you can dissect me, you can see internal organs also. So all you can see is that which can be seen. And those are grosser things only you can see through the eyes, colors and forms. Eyes can only colors and forms. And ears can only hear. So each sense organ operates in a particular field. Eyes cannot hear and ears cannot see. So each one, the field of operation of each pramana is means of knowledge, is determined by the nature of the instrument that you are using it. And this is the law. So in the same way, all pratyaksha pramana, pratyaksha means direct perceptual knowledge, takes place through these 5 senses that I have. And the operation is this information is fed into the mind, and once I have cognitive process where I know this is, that is, that cognition itself takes place through the 5 senses, right? But we should also know the senses can only see attributes of the object. So the eyes can only see colors and forms, nothing else. So ears can only hear. So each is a property of the object. So if there is an object, so a chair, I can only, through the eyes, the color of the chair and the form of the chair, as it is, right? But is it a chair or is it only the attributes of the chair? And the law is the attributes belong to the object and they are inseparable. Form belongs to the chair and form is inseparable from the chair. These are all epistemological analysis. So form is there, but I am seeing the form. So as though the philosophy, at least our Vedanta is, the mind goes as though there, grasps the object through the senses, picks up the attributes, brings it back, and then that forms a vritti, a thought in the mind. Whether the mind goes out or the information is brought in, ultimately the information is brought through the senses to the mind, one way or the other. What kind of information? Only attributive knowledge. This has to be very clear now, because all senses can only see the attributes. Attributes means properties. But from properties I had to deduce that there is an object that has this property. Right? So essentially, if there is a chair, I am only seeing the form of a chair through my senses. Form of a chair, remember, so look at this philosophy now. Form of the chair is inseparable from the chair. Then how am I grasping that, taking the attribute out of the chair to see? I cannot do it. These are all mind-boggling questions, but that's what the problem is. I don't know if you are appreciating what I'm saying, because the form is there, chair is there. But I am seeing the form, and form is inseparable from the chair. How am I taking the form out of the chair? I cannot take the form out of the chair, but I am seeing it because that's what the senses are bringing into my information. So, the analysis should be, senses really cannot see the attributes also. What it can see is reflected attributes of the object. Not even the attributes. It's only a reflected light. You remember, that's why I gave you the sense. It's only a reflection of that form. In that reflection, I am only grasping, because you know how the image is formed. It's only by our reflections process. So if I sit in front of a mirror and looking at my face is here, mirror is there, but the image is there. Face has been not put in there, but only light that is falling on my face is getting reflected through the mirror and forming an image. That's how we know physics now. In the same way, exactly identical process is taking place in terms of whenever I see any object in the world. So I am only seeing the reflected image of the world, not the world. Reflected image of the world through the five senses. If the five senses are operating properly, I get the information representative of the object. If my senses are defective, then the representation of the object does not be representing the object. It may be distorted image of the object. It's not the object is distorted, but my senses are not efficient enough. I don't have 20/20 vision, or whatever the perfect hearing capacity, or whatever the means that I do not have to grasp the object exactly as it is. So we can never see object as it is. That depends upon how good our senses are, because through the attributes only. Now, look at the process. The bondage he is talking about is there is a seer, drashta, and drishyam, that is seen, and these two dualities causing the problem. What is the problem? First, number one is I am taking what I am seeing is real. Eyewitness account, right? The quote stands as eyewitness account, because I am seeing. But what am I seeing? You have to analyze correctly. Epistemologically, I am not seeing the real object. I am seeing the reflected image of the object to the degree that my senses can bring in. If I am colorblind, I cannot see the real color of the object. So whenever I see, it's only a distorted image of the object of the world. That is first we know. Now the question that poses is there really an object out there? Why am I seeing an object? So there are a lot of theories in this. In some of the Buddhistic theories called the theory of Vijnanavadins, and there are some also philosophical positions are there. And our philosophies always, they take how other people have analyzed and what's wrong with them, therefore how am I correct? I mean, this is a very scientific analysis. That's called Purva Paksha. So Purva Pakshi means it is not real Pakshi, but Purva Pakshi is how other darshanikas have looked at this problem. Just like any scientific paper, if you look at how the other guys have analyzed this problem and what's wrong with it, and why am I proposing a new theory which is different from all other, and why it is a better theory also he has to justify. So all our darshakas will take other people's position first, because I am writing another one and we are already burdening. There's so much of information already there. We have Vedas, as a Hindus, we have the Prasthana Trayam, we have Vedas, and we can't even master those Vedas. And on the Vedas there are Vedangas, and also we have Bhagavad Gita, and there is a Brahma Sutra, and there are commentaries on Brahma Sutra also. And what is Brahma Sutra? Brahma Sutra is one, says the Vedanta is so vast, and each Vedanta can be contradictory to other, so it brings samanvayam, that means consistent understanding of all that is what Brahma Sutra is. And there are 10 or 15 commentaries on the Brahma Sutra, because Brahma Sutra is like an equation, E is equal to mc squared. So one has to understand what those, because it's a condensed form. Athato Brahma Jigyasa, that's the first sutra. It says, Ato Brahma Jigyasa. Then, therefore, inquire into Brahman. That's all it says. What is then? Then means thereafter. Then I say whereafter. So the whereafter means there's each philosopher after this. So each one has interpreted pages and pages and pages. After what you have to inquire. So all explanation, this just one, Atato Brahma Jigyasa. And Ramanuja says, in fact, half of Ramanuja is only on trying to take Purvapaksha of previous interpretations of what Atha means, how they interpreted and what's wrong with it, and how this is correct interpretation. So there is a Lagu Purvapaksha, Maha Purvapaksha, there is so much mind-boggling. And there are commentaries on those commentaries, and the commentaries on the commentaries on the commentaries. It is like a mushrooming literature itself, our whole, you can't study all of them in your lifetime itself. But you can see how much they went into, how much thought process went into it. It's all logical also. How much thought process, amazing how much thought process. And my wife will be wondering, why am I studying all the time, all this? Because this is my mind-boggling study, because there is never end. More you study, the more appeals to you in terms of what exactly really implication of that is. So that all implies that whatever that I see, is it really true? Now the question that we are posing here is, what I see, is it real? That's a basic question here. Now, I just gave you process of what I am seeing. In the process, I understand what I am not seeing is not really the object as it is. It's only a reflected image of that in the mind, right? Now, what I see is what is there. How do I know? It can be, I may be hallucinated. I'm seeing ghost there. There is no ghost. Because I saw recently ghost movie, and then wherever I see only ghost there. No, is there really ghost? But I'm afraid of ghosts. In the night I can't walk. So if that's problem is my mental projection is imagining something there, whether is it real or not, how do we know? So is glass you are seeing, is it real or not? I am seeing, you are seeing, everybody is seeing, but I am holding, just demonstrate only. I am drinking water from it. That means it is real enough for me to transact with it. What I am seeing and also what I am transacting with it, therefore it's called a vyavaharika satyam. Vyavahara is transactions, so I am able to transact with what I see, and therefore at least it is real up to that level. The next question is, just because you transact, is it real? These are the questions that are raised. And he says, yes, because you are transacting, how can unreal things can be transacted? So these are all questions raised and addressed also. And says, no, I will give you an example where you can see, you can transact, at the same time you yourself will say it's not real. How? That's what you do every day in your dream. Why? When you are in the dream, you are creating the whole world, you are seeing there in front of you, you are transacting with the world. You can hit your boss in a dream at least, not outside, as much as you want. You can all do that in the dream. But when you get up, you yourself say that was not real. Hey, you just transacted it. That was in the dream. So as long as sakale satyavad bhati, prabhode satya sad bhaved. As long as you are in the dream, that is indeed true, transactionally true, the observationally it is true, perceptually true, transactionally true, utility-wise it is true, all means you think of it is only true. Then why it is not true? It is not true only because it is not nityam. This is what Gaudapada analyzes in the Gaudapada Karika that we took also. The talks are available in the website. And therefore, if you look, essentially he says transactability, utility, observability, all that are no means of establishing something is real. It is temporarily real as long as it is. To whom? The one who is transacting, it is real. So the statement error in perception involves, I am seeing it, but that may not be real. So there is an error in perception. So example, because this is what the whole adhyasa is involved, adhyasa that I mentioned about, where the Shankaracharya writes adhyasa bhashya, the introduction to the Brahma Sutra, where it says, I am seeing it, and the classical example is obviously, as my wife says, Advaita is nothing but ropes and snakes. So it is, when I am walking on the alley, the light is not bright enough, I am seeing something that is 5 feet long, it is in the alleys there, and people say there are a lot of snakes around here, and suddenly I step on it, and it's soft enough, and I am afraid of the snake, and therefore say, hey, there is a snake there, and I start to run away. Now, why I am seeing the snakes? Because there is not enough light there. But there is an object that I see. There is a vastu jnanam is there. There is some object there. But I am not able to get through my 5 senses all the attributes of the object that is representative of the object. Why? Because the environment is not conducive enough for me to know all the attributes in exact, because light is not sufficient. Therefore, insufficient attributes are brought in, insufficient or inaccurate attributes are brought into the mind. And based on those attributes, mind has to make a statement. So we have 2 things in the process. One is the senses are bringing the information, that cognitive process. and say there is an object with these attributes. That is cognition. Then it goes back into the memory and says, is there an object in the past that I know that matches these attributes of the object? That follows a recognition process. One is the cognitive process, and there is a recognition process based on the memory of information. If the memory is blank, then say, I don't know what it is. I see something that looks like that, but I don't know what it is. Hey, I asked somebody, hey, what is that? Oh, that is the Gaga Bubu he was talking about. You know Gaga Bubu? That is now. Now, from now on, I know what is Gaga Bubu. Right? I have seen it, and now I know it. That's how the knowledge takes place. From the childhood, say, beta, remember that sea around? That is cow. Whether it's in the book or real cow there. And the beta says, hey, that's a white one. It's looking like that. Oh, from then on, that's a cow. So when I look next time, there's some black cow there, and the mother says, that's also a cow. Previously it was white and this has become suddenly black. So you have to drop that which is superficial, the Vyakti. Vyakti means particular individual attributes, but only collect those common attributes of this white cow and the black cow, and that becomes a jati, phylum. Remember? So any cow can be of any color, but there are particular properties that define a color, cow. Now you know what's cow, right? Can you define what's cow? This is called Swarupa Lakshanam. What is that make a cow and not a horse? These are, I'm not telling anything new here. Everything has been analyzed in the Nyaya philosophy, in our philosophers, all these have been analyzed in there. That's why it's a mind-boggling, and our is like a science. Vedanta is a science. What makes a cow? Because this is all important in this, not that I'm going into all that, because this is all implied in all this statement here. What makes a cow and not a horse? Have you ever thought about it? But you all know this is a cow and that is a horse. But what is that which differentiates a cow from a horse? And what is that particular, is there a specific attribute of the cow has and that horse doesn't have? 4 legs, that also has 4 legs. Tail, it also has a tail. So each one, if you take that, that cannot differentiate, but totally, yes, all those things put together, that's a cow and that's not a horse. So what is that because of? It's called, in the mathematics, it's a necessary and sufficient qualification to define an object as it is. Mathematically, it's a very rigorous definition. So it is necessary, but also it should be sufficient. That should be the attribute that qualifies, is called Swarupa Lakshanam. A Lakshanam that says it is that is, nothing else it can be. So is there anything like that? I can guarantee, I went through all this process, but if you want to know, there's a Vedanta Paribhasha text is there. And I have written a lot of commentary in my website if you are interested, but this is very mind-boggling because there is a Vedanta book, Paribhasha book is there. If you open, there is a Madhvananda has written analysis of that. And if you open the book, you will close it immediately. Because the Sanskrit is worse than the English translation is worse than the Sanskrit there. But I have written exhaustive critical commentary on it. But that perceptual knowledge becomes important in this. So what makes a cow a cow? Alpha says cow has cowness, gotvam, which is different from horseness. So cowness, cow has, that distinguishes cow from horse, which is horseness. Very simple. Now, so what is the cowness, sir? Cowness is that which cow has. You have become what? You have become a circular definition. Cow is that which has cowness. Now what is cowness? Cowness is that which cow has. I have not become any more intelligent. But that's how Navya Nyaya defines it. Cowness, manness, womanness, everything is ness. By adding ness, you make it a quality that. But that's not really explained. In essence, what I'm trying to drive at is, every object I cannot precisely define. So how does a chemist will discover a new object, new substance? He has to find out its physical properties, chemical properties by interacting with this, interacting with that. All those things he has to analyze and say, it's not that, it's not this, it's not this, it can be so. He has to deduce some empirical formula on the basis of that and then do molecular weight, all those things you know, right? In order to know what that chemical is. So what is its Swarupa Lakshanam? If I want Swarupa means what is the intrinsic qualification? Like sugar is what? Sugar, how do you distinguish sugar from a salt? Both look alike. Some people by mistake put this one instead of that one. Why is it sweet? Sugar is sweet. But is sweet a quality that differentiates the sugar from everything else? Is it, that's a necessary, right? It's called a necessary qualification for sugar to be sugar and not to be salt. It has to be sweet. But that is not sufficient qualification, and sufficient qualification is you have to use converse. Mathematically, if it is sweet, it has to be sugar, nothing else. Then it's called a Swarupa Lakshanam. And if it is sweet, it need not be sugar, but there are, now equal is there and so many other things are there nowadays. They are sweet, but they are not sugars. They may claim that they are coming from sugar, but they are not really sugar. So, that is necessary, but not sufficient to define an object. So, what exactly is an object? I cannot even define. I don't know whether it's there or not. First, I cannot even define an object. But for transactional purposes, it is enough for me to know this is sweet and not salt. I can put for my coffee and I can go take my coffee. I don't need all these theories. For purpose of transactions, I can get away with my life with all this. But if you want to know fundamentally what is that sugar, or what is even simple, take water to make a water and not something else, it's Swarupam. Is there a Swarupa Lakshana for it? You know what Swarupa Lakshana of water is? H2O. That means water is H2O, and if you use converse, H2O is water anywhere in the universe. So it is intrinsic structural things that makes it. But H2O itself is not intrinsic, it is just combination of something else. H2 and O. So there is no water, it's just really assembled things there. What exactly is the fundamental material there? That is nothing really specified. And that's true with all objects in the world. Every object, I cannot precisely define that it's Swarupa Lakshanam. This is what I'm trying to drive at. And Vedanta says, the one that has Swarupa Lakshanam is real. And what is that which is real, that Swarupam? Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. That Brahman alone has Swarupa Lakshanam. They are called Swarupa Lakshanam. But their Lakshanam means it's attribute, but it's not even attribute. Remember, we say existence alone was there before, but I cannot perceive the existence. Consciousness alone is its nature, but I cannot perceive consciousness. If I perceive, it becomes unconscious only. So that which cannot be, it is imperceptible, but that is the real, and Brahman alone has Swarupa Lakshanam, and no objects in the world can have it. If you really deeply go into analysis. Therefore, anything that I see is an object, but what I am seeing is only reflected image of the object. And I can even transact with the object assuming that it is real, but that itself is not sufficient for me. Only way to define that it is really real is to know it is Nityam. Nityam means it does not undergo a modification. Nityatvat. And what is that does not undergo modification is that which is anantam. Because anantam is infinite. Infinite cannot go under modification. If it goes under modification, it's not infinite by definition. So only finite things keep on changing in the world, and infinite cannot change because it is being infinite. And therefore, all this word drusyam, by being very finite, it cannot be nityam. And why it is finite? Because any drusyam involves druk, seer, right? So here this starts with drashtur drusyasya sattahi. Says, I am a seer and this is a seen. Therefore, seer is different from seen. Therefore, seen one is different from the other, and by mutual exclusion, each limits the other. So they both are finite. The very process. But if you really go into details, the drishyam, what I see, I am taking it as a real, say sattahi. Sattahi means it is indeed true. True means it is absolutely real. But it cannot be if you really analyze it, because what is real is nityam, that which has a sarupa lakshanam. It is transactionally real, all right, but it's not absolutely real. Follow? So as long as I am transacting it, I can operate at that transaction level, knowing very well it's not absolutely real. So all our problems in samsara is this, where I am taking what I see as a transactional real is absolutely real. So all our life problems are, everything is only transactionally true. But when I take it as absolutely real, then I have had it. That's where the samsara is. So as long as I am on the stage of drama, and I am putting a vesham, costume for that role, then in that drama, I had to play the drama. If I am a king, I have to play the role of a king, and if I am a beggar, I have to play the role of a beggar there. That's in the drama, on the stage. So on the stage, all relationships can go on. So the fellow who is acting has to understand that this is only a drama. He is only acting. In fact, the beggar plays very well, right? He may be a millionaire, real millionaire, but taking the role of a beggar, and he has a background music also, compared to real beggar on the street. And he is being kicked left and right by the other actors because that's a part of the scene. He may be his own friend there, real friend, but here he is acting like in the drama. Oh, he acted very beautifully. You cried very well. You congratulate him. Why? That was beautiful action. But if a beggar takes that beggar role as real, he has had it, right? Because he is playing a role, and he may become a millionaire, more millionaire after the, because the movie has become so successful, he is making millions. But while acting, he has only taken that role and playing that role very well, knowing very well, I am not this role, but I am playing beautifully. There is no problem. Roles will have a problem, but it's a part of the scene. But the actor doesn't have a problem. Actor is not a beggar. Actor can play the role of a beggar in the drama as beautifully, as better than a real beggar on the street. But he never forgets that I am an actor. He has to once in a way go to green room, remove the costume. He says, I am real actor, not the beggar. So if a fellow king playing a king, and he thinks he is really a king, and start ordering everybody outside the drama also, then you take it to the asylum, right? Because something is gone wrong with him. But that's what we do. If we know transactionally real is not necessarily absolutely real, we can play the game of life in the life. All things exactly, tragedies, comedies, everything will be happening on the drama. That's a part of the drama script. Knowing very well, I am playing very well that role that I am playing. So once in a way you go to meditation room, strip out all the roles. That's what we have to leave the chappals outside. Chappals is not this, chappals is out in the sanctum sanctorium. You have to remove all the roles. You are no more particular role. Drop all the roles. I am a father, I am a husband, I am a wife, I am this. All those things, don't take it to the sanctum. He knows all those problems before you know. You don't have to tell him because he is there behind you all the time. Without his presence of consciousness, no one knows the problems even. So all problems he knows. Oh Lord, you don't know what I am going through. He will be laughing. So I know. Upadrashthana cha bhakta bhokta maheshwara. I am behind you all the time. Upadrashta. I am Hanumanta. I am there watching what you are doing already. You are only turning towards me. If you open the door, you know that I am there. Unfortunately, you are only looking for me outside, thinking that I am not there inside. I told you, the very life itself is because of him. So how far I had to go to find out where he is? So like a ring going, I want to find out where the gold is. I want to go to Himalayas and do meditation. What? To find out from which I came, by which it is sustained, into which I goes back. That gold God is I have to see. How far? Just open your eyes. You are that gold. How can I be gold? I am ring. I have a date of birth. I am only of this form. Look at that necklace. He's so beautiful and so lucky. All those, Close to the heart, I am being, this lady even doesn't remove me and she washes all the vessels without even removing me. What a misery my life is. And the necklace life is so beautiful. How lucky I am. Necklace is also complaining. How lucky the ring is. I'm getting stuffed here. She's meeting everybody, shaking hands with all the people, and I'm not, I'm only now lying down here. How lucky, I wish I'm a ring. This is not a ring and ring, these are our problems. Hey, I am gold, I am gold, I am gold here, I am gold in that form, I am gold in the form, varieties of forms, then the beauty of this comes into picture. Says, Maya tadvidam sarvam jagad avyakta murtina mastani sarva bhutani, all beings are in me. But next time he says, Nachamastane bhutani, no being is in me. Just now Krishna says, this is in the chapter, right? 9th chapter. Says, all beings are rising in me. And the very next sloka he says, Nachamastane bhutani pasyammi yoga vaishwaram. Look at my glory. I am there in all beings, but really none of them are really me. Why? Gold can say, I am in all ornaments there. But really there are no ornaments in me. I am just gold. Gold in that form, gold in the form, gold only. There is no ring, there is no bangle, there is no necklace. That is understanding. Transactionally, ring is ring and bangle is bangle, necklace is necklace. The utilities are all different. So, dashtur drusyasya sattahi. The problem comes is not necessarily that I am a seer and this is a scene. That's in the drama can go on, but where the problem comes is sattahi, that is indeed real, is where the problem is. And that becomes a bandha. That becomes a bondage. What becomes a bondage? Not just the drishya and druk, that goes on transactionally as long as you are in this world. As long as you have body, mind and intellect, there is always seer and seen. But understanding is, there is that which pervades both the seer and the seen, both as existence and consciousness. Remember the first sloka we studied? Pratibhanti says that which illumines the whole thing, that consciousness that I am. And that understanding becomes, in spite of druk-drishyam, in spite of seer-seen duality, I can still recognize my nature. That doesn't change the drama. Drama will be still going on, up and down and going on, and everybody will be same thing, nothing will happen. But yet, understanding is different. How does it help? Yesterday I told you, FIR reduction, as you keep establishing in that, the frequency of disturbance, the intensity of disturbance and recovery from the disturbance will be going down. So, Drashtur drusyasya sattahi bandha itya vidhiyate. So one, it becomes a bondage when I give a reality to what I see or seen. And seer and the seen, each limits other. Therefore, any limitation becomes a problem if I take the limitation as real. Because any duality, as I mentioned yesterday, any duality contributes to the problem. Because vitiyadvo bhayam bhavati. So udara mantaram kurute atatasya bhayam bhavati. So Upanishad says even a speck of difference can cause a problem. So when there is a difference, then difference is due to duality, and that contributes to the fear and all that. When there is no difference or no dvaita or no, then there is no problem. That you can see in deep sleep state, where mind is not there, therefore all duality ceases, then everybody is comfortably happy. But that does not mean I know the truth. So even though I have Advaita Anubhava in the deep sleep state, I do not have the knowledge because the mind itself is folded. Now I want to tell this a little bit because otherwise people think what is realization and all that. Who realizes what? Has to be understood also. Number one, Brahman doesn't have to realize. Why? Brahman is Satchidananda Swarupam. He is all infinite, consciousness itself, pure consciousness. It doesn't have to realize anything because it says, Ekameva Advitiyam, I am one without a second. What is there to realize? So Brahman need not realize. And also cannot realize also, but we cannot say he need not have to realize because he is Brahman. And then who realizes? The body, the mind is inert by itself. All things, body, mind, and intellect, they are inert. This is grosser, this is subtle. Mind is also, intellect also becomes subtle inert material. So it cannot realize either. Then who realizes what? That's a very interesting question, right? Realization is I who takes the mind as I. That means the consciousness which is illumined here, remember reflection is occurring in the subtle body, that reflected consciousness which is called Chidabhasa, the reflected consciousness, not knowing I am only the light getting reflected, takes itself as I am real. Number one, Sattahi. And since I don't know what it is, I am this mind. Is the one that is being used for knowing. Because the mind is getting activated. So who has the problem? Not the consciousness. Pure consciousness has no problem. It is the reflected consciousness taking itself as real and operating at that level. Assume that I have this mind and this intellect, this body, and I have body problem, I have mental problem, I have emotional problem, depression, oppression, all those things are attributes of the mind, attributes of the body, because body is paining, knees are paining, all those things start working as one ages. These are my problems. And why do you have back problem? Because I have a back. That's the reason. So all those problems of the matter are taken as mine. Who does that? Not Brahman. It is the reflected consciousness identifying itself with the equipments. Now we follow that? Okay, simple example. You know the moon, right? Moon is shining in the sky. Where is the shining of the moon coming from? Moon by itself, not luminous, but you can see the moon. So the moon is shining by the reflected light. So moon has become a luminous body in the sky, not because of itself, but because of the sunlight, right? Now look for the sunlight on this side of the moon and that side. So between the moon and another one, another luminous body, Venus or something else, if you see, you don't see any sunlight. But do you say that there is no sunlight there? Now you follow my example when I say, when somebody asks the question, do I need a thought? Should I drop all the thoughts? If you drop all the thoughts, you go to sleep only. I do need a thought, just as I do need an object in the sky for me to recognize that there is sunlight there. You follow now? But does it mean that moon is really luminous? No. While looking at the moon, now I'll give you simple meditation now, right? Looking at the moon, recognize that it is sunlight there. Okay? Now, on a full moon day, for example, you are able to see an object there, right? In the full moonlight. Now that moonlight, remember, sunlight is falling on the moon, reflected by the moon, falling on the earth, and that is reflected by the object, and you are seeing, if you follow the whole process. First reflection by the moon. Second reflection, the moonlight is falling on the object. And that object is reflecting. And I say there is an object there, I can see in the moonlight. Now what is this process? It is the sun. Look at the whole thing. Sunlight is falling on the moon. Sunlight is reflected by the moon. That sunlight is falling on the object. That sunlight is reflected by the object. And that sunlight is what I am seeing now. Right? You follow? Now, looking at the object, can I say it is sunlight? That's the meditation now. Now, if you follow what meditation involves, that is sunlight. I'm not telling the whole, but I say I'm seeing in the moonlight. So, shifting my attention from the consciousness, same exactly identical process, nothing is different. It's absolute science here now. Same light of consciousness. In the case of sun, it is one part somewhere. But consciousness, assume that all over. Light is coming all over. There is no particular source because I am infinite consciousness. That consciousness reflected by the moon, by the mind. Remember, that's why I call lunic. That's why related to the mind. Mind, moon are related. It's called presiding deity of the mind. So, reflected by the mind, that reflected light from the mind falls on the thought that rises in the mind, and reflected by the thought, and I say, I know the thought. Follow? Identical process. Instead of moon, replace that by the mind. Instead of sun, replace that light of consciousness. It's the light of consciousness falling on the mind, getting reflected by the mind, that's called Chidabhasa, and the reflected light falls on the thought, and the thought reflects, and I know the thought, because that is conscious light. So in every pratibodha viditam matam, in the Kenopanishad says, in every perceptual knowledge, in every knowledge, pratibodha means every knowledge, I am conscious of the consciousness that is getting reflected as the knowledge itself. So now you see what meditation is. Should I close my eyes for meditation? I can close because if I am getting distracted from what I am seeing and getting carried away with what I am seeing. That's why only you close your eyes. Should I sit one place and do meditation? All that are preparatory training required in order to gain this understanding clearly. then I should be all the time meditation. But because everything is this process. If I understand the essence of it, then I cannot get away from it. Clearly, provided I apply this knowledge all the time. Problem is we get carried away in our transactions. But even if you get carried away, remember FIR reduction. You should be conscious of that, then you can get back into this. So, if you understand the whole process, then it becomes a knowledge. If you don't understand the process and each one you take as real, then it becomes a bondage. So bondage and liberation, where is that occurring? Not in the Brahman, but is in the mind that is reflected in the Chidabhasa. Manayeva manushyanam karanam bandhamokshayoho. Mind is responsible for bondage as well as the liberation. How is it liberation? Because it is the reflected process only. When the mind, first is sunlight is always pure. So not sunlight, the light of consciousness is always pure. But the mind can be impure. So it need not reflect all that light that is falling on it. It's a problem with the mind, not problem with the consciousness. Therefore, if I want all that light of consciousness to boom it all with all the glory, that means I have to polish the mind. It requires a little bit of polishing to make it shining so that it can reflect. And that's what is sadhana. Sadhana is purifying the mind so that the mind and intellect are not dispersed, so that the light doesn't get dispersed in the process. It can reflect beautifully. All the yogas, karma yoga, bhakti yoga, all yogas is integrating the personality there. Okay? That's the real personality. And that reflects completely the brightness of the consciousness. And that's what a difference between one student and another student. Some student is bright, some student is not. Because the mind is not pure enough. A disciplining makes the mind pure. That's what is sadhana. Disciplining is polishing it. Someone says, why do we need this all brainwashing? He says, yes, we need to wash the brain because my all muddled right now. So brainwashing is required, but this is not brainwashing. This is just a facts. If you want, you can do. Otherwise, you don't need to. But if you understand it, then you apply this philosophy properly also. So, drashtur dusyasya sattahi bandhaitya vidhiyate. So, drashta drusyavasad baddhaha. So, how can the bondage come just because I am seeing the object? Is because I am, number one, thinks I am limited. Because the one that is I am seeing is different from me. And I don't like limitations. So only way I can prevent these limitations is make that also mine. What I see is also I want. So what is the whole rat race in the life is, I see some object there, beautiful, I went to the Springfield Mall, I saw a beautiful object there, and my wife says, let's get it. So we'll see, this is too much cost. Okay, next day we see, Jayato vishayan pumsaha sangaste shupajayate sangas sanjayate kamaha kamat krodho vijayate. So every day we go there and watch it, window shopping, every day we see suddenly sale. Then I rush to buy. Now I am happy. When I go to the counter, somebody else got it already. Then krodho vijayate. I didn't get what I want. So this is the bondage comes into picture when I want that. Why? So that I am going to be happy. It means I am increasing myself to become not from limited to unlimited. How do I become unlimited? Because I already concluded that I am limited, I am going to be unlimited by adding all the drusyams. That means I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. So running rat race of this for this, for this, for this, for this. It can be object, it can be an emotional, or it can be at the thought level. This running after becomes a problem because I see. Right? Started with that problem. Therefore, drashta drusyavasad baddha. Drusyavasham means you get bounded by what you are seeing. How does it bind? By your attachments. How do I get attached? By raga dveshas. How do they develop? jhayato, by keep on thinking about it. So Krishna gives a psychological degradation of a human being in the sloka. By keep thinking about it, you develop a ragam, anuragam or dvesham. So raga includes raga dveshas, and that is essentially becoming a vasanas. So that becomes drusyavashat, means I get bounded by what I am seeing, and says for drashta, the seer gets bounded by the seen, that's called bandha, and drusya abhave muchyate. If I remove that, remove what? He says here, drusya abhave, I'm not, when I don't see the object, I am free. It's not actually object. What I see, what I should remove is the sattahi. Remember the first line? What I see is, I had to remove the notion that this object is real. Because I gave a reality to the object and then going after it. And therefore, if I realize that that's not really real, I can play the game in life and say, yes, if it comes, that's good. If it's not come, also it's bad. I can cry like anybody else just for show, because that's a drama. But internally, I should be strong enough that I should not get carried away with that. I mean, recovery, FIR, remember? FIR reduction should be there. Recovery should be fast enough as the knowledge sinks in more and more deeper. So, drusya bhavi, vimuchyate, liberation comes once I realize that what I am seeing is not really real, it's only apparently real. Apparent things can only give apparent problems, not real problems, right? So that becomes the knowledge. So this is being going to explain more and more in the next few slokas here. Go ahead.
Jagatvam aham ityadi. Jagatvam aham ityadi. Mityatma drishyamuchyate.
Mityatma drishyamuchyate.
Yavadedat sambhavati.
Yavadetat sambhavati.
Tavan moksho na vidyate.
Tavan moksho na vidyate.
Jagattvamaham ityadhi. Mityatma drishyamuchyate. Yavadetat sambhavati. Tavan moksho na vidyate.
So here he is giving more details of what exactly the drusyam that I see, the scene. So what all that includes in the scene is here itemized, says Jagatvam. So Jagat, the whole universe. So what is the universe? Universe consists of all objects. So individual object, this object, that object, all together is total universe. So for us, starting from Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apa, Abja, Prithvi, Voshta, all those Panchabhutas, and from which the whole universe is coming in, all that is included in Jagat. And the very word Jagat itself tells you that it is not permanent. Why? This Jayate, Gacchate, it is Jagat, that which keeps coming and going. It means continuously going. And even in our daily life also, if you look at it, the whole world that I see in the waking world is gone when I go to a dream world, and that is gone in the deep sleep state. So states of waking world is a dream world, and the deep sleep state also keeps changing. So the whole thing is continuously changing. So if it says, so Jagat, that includes all that. But in more particular, if it starts, it says, Tvam aham iti adi. Starts with first, I am and you are. And this is how the bhashya, I told you about the Adhyasa bhashya, this is what the very first statement says. Yushmadasvat pratyaya gocharayoho, vishaya vishainoho, tava prakashavat viruddha svabhavayoho, itaretara bhavanupattau upadghataha. This is first statement of Shankaracharya in the Adhyasa bhashya. It starts as Yushmat Ashmat. So Yushmat, you and me. quote you and I am, this starts with, so you means you include everybody now, and that's exactly, it is tvam aham, you and aham, me. So must be taken from the Adhyasa Bhasha, we don't know. So that itya, iti adi, etc., etc., etc. So everything that I perceive as I am you, because these are the two things that are included. You includes both chara, achara, both objects and in the inert things as well. And mithyatma drusyam uchyati. And drusyam, all these that are seen, is called mithyatma. So this word is coming here. So it's mithya, word itself is, people say it's not there in any scriptures in the, particularly. Okay? And here is Yoga Vaasishta is using that word. And of course, Dvaitins and Advaitins, they say Yoga Vaasishta, they don't even consider Yoga Vaasishta because it's mostly Advaita book. So they don't consider that as a scripture. Some quote it, some don't quote it. But mithya is a word that came into picture because then only in the say there is a sat and asat. So most of the darshanikas, that means philosophers, commentators of Vedas, they either say if it has to be either real or unreal. If it's not real, it has to be unreal. If it's not unreal, it has to be real. Remember it says, Asato ma sadgamaya, I was explaining yesterday, Asato ma sadgamaya, make me from unreal to real. So it cannot be. Either it has to be unreal or it cannot be. You cannot go from one to other, from according to their darshanikas, according to their philosophical positions. But here, we are defining what is real and what is unreal. That which remains nityam alone is real, and whatever transactionally real in any state, whether it's a waking state or a dream state. So a dream state we give a different word just to differentiate, called pratibhasika satyam, and a waking state we call a vyavaharika satyam. And each one is only transactionally real in that state, because it is Jagat. Jagat means Jayate Gacchati. It keeps completely changing. So if it is changing, do you call it is real? And says, yes, it is real. Why? Because I am seeing it. Drishyatvat. Some of the Darshanikas say. I'm using Darshanika, but I don't want to go into detail of who exactly said that, because it's general. But it says, it doesn't fit our definition. What's the definition? Trikala abhaditam satyam. That which remains the same in all periods of time alone is real. If that is what we define as a real, then this doesn't come under that category. Even though I am seeing it, it doesn't come under that category. Therefore, I cannot it's not absolutely real. Because we already defined what is absolutely real. What's absolutely real? That which does not change. Is there anything like that which does not change? That we have to inquire, right? And that which is changing, I cannot say it is unreal. Because we define unreal, that which has no locus for its existence at any time. Let's include, give some credence to the Nyaya philosophers, and say even the horn's hair is also not real. Because no one has seen it. It may be real in some other world, but we don't know. At least until somebody sees it, let's say it's not real. But Vandhya Pratrahi is logically not possible, so that is not real. So we know what is not real, we know what is real. But there is something in between now. This whole world appears to be real because I am transacting in the world. When I am unreal things I cannot transact with. Therefore, it appears to be real, but it doesn't fulfill the category that is Trikala Abhaditam Satyam. Therefore, we need another word which is called temporarily real or apparently real. That apparently real is Mithya. That's number one. Okay? That's first criteria. You remember, I just told you the Swarupa Lakshanam, a necessary and sufficient qualification, mathematics. To prove that it is necessary and sufficient, one has to use a converse statement. Like sweet is to be sugar, then there's no problem. Now if you go to Vedanta, scripture defines Brahman using a converse statement, which means very rigorous statement. If it is, that's it. If it is sweet, it has to be sugar. That kind of statement is Swarupa Lakshanam. And the way it defines is Prajnanam Brahma, that's what called one of Mahavakyas. It doesn't say Brahma is Prajnanam. It says Prajnanam Brahma, consciousness is Brahman. Not Brahman is conscious. Consciousness is Brahman. It put in a converse way, which means that wherever there is, remember H2O is water, wherever there is a H2O, it has to be water, no question. So consciousness is Brahman when it defined, and Brahman means what? Brihadhata. Brahman means it is infinite. Now we have two problems. One is it has to be consciousness and it has to be infinite. Infinite means Purnam. Therefore, infinite cannot exclude anything. If it excludes, then it is no more infinite. It has to include everything. And in the inclusion, it cannot have any differences of any kind. That is a scriptural, that's why scripture becomes a pramana now. Because particularly in the Ramana Maharshi's group, they think all I need to know is you don't need all the scriptures. All we need to know is who am I inquire. Who am I can be inquired logically also. It's called either drukdrusya viveka, this is what I am a seer and not seen. So anything seen cannot be me. I can reject that. I don't need a scripture for that. Avasthatrayam, this is, all this body is not me, the mind is not me, all those things I can reject it. There is Anvaya Vyatireka logic also, I don't want to get into the detail, but all this logically I can arrive at without knowing the scriptures. Scriptures can help me, but without knowing the scriptures also, I can arrive. Who am I? I am pure conscious entity, existent entity, I can arrive. Why? I am not that. What is that? That is unconscious entity. So I am not that. Anything that I can point out cannot be me. I can point out this body, idam shariram. This body. Since I am pointing out, the one who is pointing is different from one which is pointed. Right? So can be known by just process of logical analysis. That's all they say. You don't need scriptures for that. But scripture is required to tell me that I am that also. Remember, Tattvamasi is, I am that. So scripture is what I rejected that I am not, is I am also. For that only scripture is required. Scripture becomes a pramana for this. All Mahavakyas is meant for that. Okay. Now why I am saying, because the Brahman is pure consciousness, is all-pervading, and that is infinite. But yet I am seeing these varieties of unconscious things in the world. Whole Jagat. Everything, Drishyam. All Drishyam is unconscious entity. Because I cannot see consciousness. So where did this unconscious entity come into picture? Just now said Brahman. And you said Prajnanam Brahma. Consciousness is Brahman. And Brahman means it's infinite. It cannot have any divisions inside. And I see the whole thing is divided here. And that too unconscious entities all over. So how do we account that? That's why it's called Mithya. Mithya is, you are seeing it as long as Drishyatva. Because as long as you are seeing, there is a seer, seen is there. That is going on. Therefore, it is neither real, because we already defined what is real. It's not unreal. Therefore, it is mithya. Word is required to account for even the scriptural statement, because prajnanam brahma. You follow? I don't believe all this. You are only just covering up. Right? This is exactly what happens when you do dream state. That's why Mandukya Upanishad is a beautiful text. It's a very scientific analysis of waking dream and deep sleep state, because this is exactly what you are doing. One mind sleeping in the mind, projecting what? Chara achara. Chara achara means stavaram jangamam yatam yatkinchit sachara acharam, right? They have all those movable, immovable, everything, all that you are seeing in the dream, you yourself, what created? Is a real hill that you created from you took outside and put there? It is just a subtle mind that is projecting. That's even not real matter. But you are creating the forest, you are creating the water, you are creating the tanks, you are creating the ocean, all over. You can even travel all over the world there in the dream and come back. People grow from birth to death also, come back also. Whole life can be there. Only you say it's one mind projecting the variety. It's amazing if you say that exactly model. Say, you remember one waking mind? You remember slept in the air-conditioned room and all that? Now dreaming, but in the dream there are several objects there as well as subjects also. Now where is that mind? That mind, the waking mind that is dreaming, all that is all pervading. Now a subject in the dream also has his own mind. Remember? When I am dreaming in the dream, my own mind is there. How this mind differ from that mind? So this mind thinks there is other fellow there different from me. Yushmat Ashmat Sabdaha. Say, Tvam Aham is there in the dream where I am and he is, I am transacting in the dream. Where the mind of I am there in my dream is different from mind of the other fellow who is hitting me back. Okay? In my dream. Which is different from other, and there are a lot of mindless people there also, and also mindless entities also in the dream also. All that is with the mind. Remember, all that is nothing but in the waking mind only. One mind projecting. Now you say same exactly identical model. Total mind, it's called Hiranyagarbha, projecting the whole universe of this. Himself entered into one as a subject there, looking at the other minds. My mind is different from your mind. What is that? Not from the total mind. One total mind is saying all these things in the individual minds. I know if you know all that. Grasping the magnitude of the problem, how they analyze this problem. Oh, this is all dream, and you always talk of dream, because this is nature has provided this example for us to analyze it. Otherwise, we don't have any model, clear model otherwise like this. That's why scripture becomes a pramana also. So, whatever I see is transactionally real, either pratibhasika satyam as in the dream or vyavaharika satyam as in the waking state. But the truth is one mind, total mind, pervading the whole universe, and that we can call it Ishvara. Okay? That Ishvara created. So local mind doesn't create. I didn't create that chair. Chair was there for me to see. So Vijnanavadan says, I myself projected there. No, it is Ishvara's creation. Who is that Ishvara? The total mind of all beings and everything together, put together, is the one that is creating the whole. By maya adhyakshena prakrutihi suyate sacharacharam. Under my adhyaksha, this prakriti, that's what the mind is. Total mind is projecting the whole universe itself. I am myself not doing anything. Because president doesn't do anything, right? Under his, everything is being done. But buck stops there. So that is identical model there. And that has to be understood. So what is mithya is only transactionally real, and the word is used here in the Yoga Vaasishta, and not necessarily, it's not a Shankara's creation, and that's what has to be understood here. Yes, yavad etat sambhavati tavat moksho na siddhyati. So as long as I perceive this world as real here, so one has to interpret this language. As long as it's there means as long as the notion that it is real is there, because it's going to be there, whether I know it or not. As long as I am body, mind, intellect, perception goes on, as well as the local mind, perception goes on. Just as even though the dream is unreal, As long as there is a dream body, local dream body, dream mind, the intellect is there, dream world is still there. When I am waking, all that body, mind, intellect is also absorbed into me, total mind. So same way, as long as this body, mind, intellect is there, Vyavaharika Satyam will be there, Jnani will be seeing, because a lot of misunderstanding is there. Jnani has gone, only Arjuna sees that Krishna is teaching him, because Krishna has already realized. So it's not that. Krishna is teaching. So Jnani can teach knowing that everything is me. Krishna shows in the Virata Purusha, the 11th chapter, Vibhuti Yoga. So he shows, not Vibhuti Yoga, Ishvara. Yeah. There he shows everything is him only. At the same time he is teaching and killing other people also, left and right. So when the Jnani can operate knowing well everything is something. That's why I give simple example of, a scientific example is, as a scientist I know everything is electron, protons and neutrons, fundamental particles, right? At the same time I can differentiate garbage from food. Just because I am a scientist and I know electrons, protons doesn't mean that I'm going to eat garbage. So understanding knowledge is different from transaction. Transaction has to be done at the transaction level. Oh, you are Jnani, how can you be Jnani? You are also eating only food, not garbage. If that doesn't mean anything. It means I am intelligent enough to know at a transaction level. So knowledge and transactions have to be clearly understood. Drama has to go on as usual. So here, Yavad etat sambhavati tavan moksho na siddhyati. As long as I think that the world is real, then there cannot be any moksha, any liberation, because I am giving reality to the world. But is the world not real? It's not even real also. It is real. At the same time, it's not real. Hey, you are contradicting yourself. Is ring gold or not? If you go to into the dictionary and say, is a ring meaning is gold, does it give meaning as a gold? They are not synonyms. Ring is different from bangle, bangle is different from bracelet. No, ring is not gold. But if you take a look at the golden ring and say, is this gold? Says, yeah. Suddenly you are saying it is gold. I say it is ring, not a gold. It is ring all right, but it is gold. I say, make up your mind. Is it a ring or a gold? Sannapya sanna ubhayatmikano, bhinnapya bhinna ubhayatmikano, Sangapya sanga ubhayatmikano mahadbhuta nirvachaniya rupa. This is what is Maya is. Maya is this. Maya is looking at the ring, using the ring, operating like a ring and not as a bangle. At the same time say there is no ring. What is there is only gold. Follow now? That means transactionally I see the utility and the attributes of the ring, but intellectually I can understand that there is no really ring. There is mastani sarvabhutani, all beings are in me. At the same time, achamastani bhutani, there is no beings in me. Look at my glory, Arjuna. So knowledge involves understanding the vibhuti of the Lord in every form, whether it's beautiful or this one, everything becomes a vibhuti if I understand that. I see the Lord everywhere in that. Doesn't mean that I have to go and prostrate to everything. That's not what it implies. I can recognize the presence of the Lord, but the deal as it required. Just because I am a scientist doesn't mean that I have to eat garbage. I have to throw the garbage out. Oh, that's also electron, protons, neutrons, plus keep it. No. I have to discriminate at the level where it is required, operate at an understanding level. So with that, we'll stop here and then we'll have a tea break now. Actually, 1 minute. We should do Purnamadam before we leave and then come back and start with the invocation sloka. At least that prepares the mind itself. Let's do Purnamadam.